roads, they're kind of bumpy. I promise it's not just me. So with that and your safety in mind, please remember to remain fully seated and keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle for the entire duration of the safari. As a reminder, seat swaps are no longer allowed. We have started movement. Those are your seats for the next 2 weeks that you're captive with me. And parents, I do ask that you please refrain from Simba-ing your children over the side. Now children, I do recommend you also don't attempt to Simba your parents either. If you need a boost, just sit on a lap. But have the one lap, as Mr. Potato Head is not here to witness our game of hot potato today, and I think he'd be pretty disappointed if I told him that he did. But is a fantastic time right now to get your phones and cameras out and ready to take photos and or videos. As I'm not going to be able to fully stop for every animal we see here on the reserve today, as we have a lot to see. But I'm going to do my very best to get you good picture and video opportunities for them. And we're starting off today here in the Little Ituri Forest. Now the animals here like to use camouflage to get away from their predators, so keep those eyes on the lookout and look to the bushes. Already looking at these bushes on the left though, I do spot a couple of antelopes. The reddish brown one over here on the left, those are bongos. And the tan one, they're greater kudu. On the right there's also going to be an oak. Now as for these bongos, they're kind of hiding out because they are known as ghosts of the forest. And scientists don't even know everything there is to know about them because they can't find those bongos half the time. They're too good at hiding. As for these greater kudu, these are females because they don't have any horns on their heads. Only males of the greater kudu species are going to have horns that spiral up to be about 5 to 6 feet in height. Also happens to be their shoulder height. And as they are over 48 inches tall on that shoulder, they can ride any ride here in Africa. As for that okapi, does anyone know what they're most closely related to? Well, surprisingly enough, don't think you'd guess this, it's a giraffe. That's because male okapis have these things called ossicones on their heads. Those are skin-covered, horn-like protrusions only shared between the giraffe and the okapi. Now there is a black rhino in the back left, but I think there's one that's a little bit closer, a little bit easier to see. And it is taking a little nap facing away from us on that left rock wall. That is a black rhino. I know it's a little red. That's just the clay it's using as some sunscreen. Now they are solitary though, so they don't really hang out and make friends with others. And they're also one of the smaller species of rhinos, at least here on the reserve. Now that's just a smaller though, not a small. That rhino can still weigh nearly 3,000 pounds. It also has this thing called a prehensile upper lip. That's in a triangular shape. That's going to differ from some other species. The word prehensile means they can control its movement, so they use it like a finger to help them better eat their leaves. Those are saddle-billed storks. They get their name because they have a yellow leathery saddle that's on their beak, and you can actually tell their gender from their eye color. So the one that's standing on the left is a male because he has brown eyes, and the one sitting down on the right had yellow eyes, making her a female. We are headed towards the outskirts of the forest now though, friends, where these animals don't really like to go fully out of their water source. So keep your eyes on the lookout for dark blobs and bubbles. And it's going to start over here on the right, but the river does loop around to the left. So if you're on the left, don't feel too left out just yet. Alright, I do spot a lot of birds. Those are pink-backed pelicans, at least the large white ones. Now I know they don't really look that pink right now, but during mating season, their beaks and backs turn a nice little pink color. Almost like they blush for their crushes. You can kind of see it a little bit over here as these guys are fanning their wings.
The river go around the other side.
And over here on the left, that does look like it is a bloat or group of hippopotamus.
Oh, right there. Let's go right there.
Oh, wow. Now the word hippopotamus does mean river horse because surprisingly enough, hippos don't actually like to swim. They find it kind of hard to do so. They got some big bodies, some little legs, so it's a lot easier for them to just simply sink to the bottom and walk, like a horse walks on land. So they get the name. They're able to hold their breath for a couple minutes at a time while they are walking, and they can actually communicate as effectively below water as above through their vocalization called a wheeze honk. That's what it sounds like. Now each wheeze honk though is unique to each hippo. Some just honk then wheeze, some wheeze then honk, some just honk. So they do know who's talking based on who's wheeze honking.
Oh, crocodile right here, right here.
Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Thank you.
Just under the water.
Now, crocodiles are the largest living reptiles in Africa. They can grow to be 16 feet in length and weigh 500 pounds. They're also opportunistic eaters, so they eat anything that comes their way. And they can even eat 50% of that body weight in a single sitting. Now, they do eat all 250 pounds of food at once. I do believe their tummies get pretty full and bloated, as they do only eat once a month in that instance. They also have pretty cool scales on their backs, too. It's called osteoderms.
If they can be a
Osteoderms are
problem,
not
I'll
only
just
going to
go
act as a
down
natural armor for them, but also as a natural set of solar panels, too. So they help them to soak up the sun and warm up their cold blood. But looks like our landscape is changing. We're heading down towards the savannah now, where it's a lot instead of a giraffe. They can grow to be about 20 feet tall, and even on day one, they already stand taller than me. Not that hard to do, but they are 6 feet already. They're standing within the first couple hours of their life as well, and that's even after taking a jarring 6-foot drop from mom. We'll see a couple more of these a little bit close on the right over here. And I can already tell their species. They are Maasai giraffes. The way to tell different species apart visually is going to be their spots. Maasai giraffes have more of a jagged edge to these spots, whereas some other species like reticulated giraffes, they have smooth edges with uniform spot patterns. Oh, and over here on the left, those are some African painted dogs taking a little sniff.
Look at them, Mom. Look at the doggies. They're wild dogs.
Now, they may look really cute and cuddly, right? But they are the most successful pack hunters on the savannah. And they work as a team to surround their prey before they take them down with a strong snout of their sharp teeth. They also consume it pretty quickly. Their stomachs are elastic in order to accommodate that. But they always let the pups of their pack eat first, and I think that's pretty nice of them. Over here on the left, there's some sable antelopes that are lying down. Sable antelopes are actually the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve, and that's because they're not going to bow down to predators, just like we don't back down to poachers. They can actually even fight off opponents that jump on them from behind, which I know is rude, but it happens. They just need to tilt their chin up, and those horns that curve backwards on their head, they just poke them away. They can also get down on their front 2 knees to have those horns face outward for a frontward-facing opponent. But they're also pretty nice animals, and they will rarely injure those opponents if it's not necessary for them to do so. Getting a little closer to 2 of these giraffes over here. You can also see the os cones a lot better on giraffes than okapis, as they're not gendered for giraffes.
See them out the back in a second. Look, look, Moss, look, they're really close.
Now, while those springbok are small, though, they're quite mighty.
Under
they
the
have a
tree.
behavior called pronking, where when they get excited, they can jump up and down about 6 feet high, about 13 feet in length, and they can do that repeatedly. So they're actually able to prong right over your heads in this vehicle if they really wanted to.
Oh,
Now,
right.
there's also this young giraffe coming up over here on the right. Definitely a couple months old, judging by its independence, but still smaller than the rest of these
Put up your
giraffes.
hand. It can lick you.
And we're gonna get pretty close to this one over here on the right. That's chewing some cud.
Yeah.
Showing off that long prehensile tongue. We talked about how prehensile means they can control the movement, and their tongues are about 16 to 18 inches long. Pretty long, right? They use their tongues mostly to grip leaves and strip them from thorny branches. Oh, and I do believe we are being dazzled over here on the right, as I do spot a dazzle of zebras on that hilltop. That's what a group of them is called.
Oh, yeah. A dazzle.
Now those are all Hartman's mountain zebras, friends. And I can tell, same way I can tell different species of giraffes apart by their stripes. Hartman's mountain zebras have white underbellies with thicker stripes towards those rear legs. But each set of stripes is unique. That's how they're going to tell each other apart in those dazzles. And I know you probably had a question on your mind too regarding those zebras. I'm here to answer it. Are they white with black stripes or black with white? What do you guys think?
White with black.
If you're thinking black with white stripes, you'd actually be right. As those zebras' noses are mostly black, and that's how you're going to tell their predominant color, by looking at what their nose color is. So now you'll be able to tell. Oh, but we've reached elephant territory, friends. There's going to be an African elephant over here on the right-hand side.
Right there.
Now there's two ways I can tell it's an African elephant. The first is going to be those ears. African elephants have pretty large ears that are shaped similarly to the continent of Africa, whereas other species like Asian elephants tend to have some smaller, more triangular ears. And the second way I can tell is arguably going to be a little bit easier. And it is because, well, friends, we do happen to be driving through Africa right now. That's a pretty good indication that they're going to be African elephants. Afraid of bees. Yeah? Yikes, well, Hakuna Matata, no worries. We're not actually going to see any bees today. At least in large groups, can't really help the one-off. But it's actually because another friend of ours here on this reserve is also afraid of bees too. Do you guys know who it is? Just saw one.
Elephant.
Elephants,
Oh.
that's right. Just like these elephants over here on the left. Now, elephants are pachyderms, which in Greek does mean thick-skinned. But while their skin is thick, it is very sensitive. So they're actually able to feel when bees sting them as easily as we do. And it makes them feel uncomfortable as well. So these elephants, oh, and there is a baby.
There was a baby one in there. You'll see it in a second, Ollie.
We'll go try and see it a little bit better. I hope we can. But they're able to feel those bee stings. It makes them uncomfortable. They actually share a pretty similar response to myself too, because I'm also afraid of bees. And when they hear or see them, they actually turn around and run away from them. Which is a pretty good response to have.
Right here.
Elephants, at least.
Baby through there.
And that's because when marching around in their herds, well, they don't normally carry any maps. And they have a pretty hard time reading private property signs too. So they sometimes make their way onto farmers' lands, where they can accidentally destroy farmers' crops. Sometimes up to a month's worth of crops at a time. Which led to some human-elephant conflicts going on, as they would take actions against the elephant herds in order to protect that livelihood. But we did not want that to continue happening. I mean, aren't they so cute, right? So the Harambe Wildlife Reserve was able to partner with the farmers to get bee boxes put around the perimeters of their property. So that way, when the elephants wandered too close, they'd hear the bees buzz and actually turn away. That was actually named the Elephants and the Bees Project. And we're also coming around the flamboyance of flamingos over here on the left. That is what a group of them is called, a flamboyance. They are greater flamingos too, by the way, which means that they are the largest species of flamingo. They also happen to be the palest as well. Now they still get a pink coloring from the beta carotene that's in the brine shrimp that they eat. And if they did eat that beta carotene, they actually have white feathers. Still might see a little white though. They are gray for the first year of their life before that gray turns into white and then eventually gains that pink. Now it does look like we're going to see a crash of white rhinos because they differ from that black rhino we saw earlier in a couple of different ways. I know that it was facing away from us, but they are social. That's the biggest indicator. So they live in groups called crashes, up to about 12 rhinos. There's also an ostrich on the right. We should be able to loop around and see those ostriches a little bit better, but here comes another one. Now, not only do they live in crashes, But these white rhinos are also going to be larger than that black rhino we saw earlier as well. They're going to weigh about 5,000 pounds. And their mouth shape is also going to be different. So we talked about the pointed prehensile upper lip of that black rhino. These white rhinos' upper lip is not prehensile, and it's actually wide and broad, kind of square. That's how they get their name, not their skin coloring. But the Afrikaans word fight does mean wide, and it's in reference to their mouth shape. Now this next animal can sometimes be a little bit hard to spot, but there are 3 cheetahs walking along this hilltop. They're coming towards us, so they're
Oh,
a little bit easy to see.
Molly, look. Look, big cat. Leopard or cheetah or something. Look, there's another
Now
one.
cheetahs aren't actually big cats though, with a capital B that is. They are large. But they don't have the classification of a big cat because they don't roar. They just meow, chirp, and hiss to communicate with one another. There's another one walking in those bushes over here on the left.
There's another
Yeah.
one.
What's that? But they do have a title, so at least they don't feel too left out. And that title is the fastest land mammal in the world, as cheetahs can actually reach speeds up to 60 miles an hour in just 3 seconds. It's pretty fast. But speaking of big cats, friends, there is a lioness over here on the left.
Oh, right there.
Look at that, Molly, a lion up the top there. This is what you wanted to see.
Now, I'm happy to see her
Lioness.
walking around because normally you just see lions kind of
Look at
lying
her
around.
up the top
As even though the song suggests that the lion sleeps tonight, they're actually nocturnal
Look.
and they tend to sleep during the day.
Can you see
So they
it?
sleep about 20 hours
There's
every day.
There's another one.
But here's the rest of that bride
see a
over
better
here.
than
There's
that.
also a water bug over here on the right.
Look at one of the rocks.
Now lions do roar, and that roar can be heard from about 5 miles away on the savanna landscape. It's going to help this male lion communicate with the females, while those females are the ones that go hunting. He's going to actually stay back to protect his pride. And if she was looking at us, I think she's looking at the water bug. But if she was looking at us, she'd actually see us as easily as we see her right now, as they share a similar vision to humans during the day, but see nearly 6 times better than us at night.
Do they need to hunt here?
Look at that.
Are you gonna go hunt that guy?
He also looks kind of young to me. His mane isn't fully ostriches still, but when I did first look at them, they did look to be females to me, as ostriches have different colored feathers based on their gender. Males have black feathers with white tips. Females have gray feathers. They're the largest species of birds, and they're actually non-flighted. They just run pretty fast, about 35 to 40 miles an hour. But it looks like these females laid some eggs over here on the right.
Oh, eggs.
The ostrich egg is the largest bird egg that can be laid. It's about 3 pounds. It can be the equivalent of about 2 dozen chicken eggs. And if an adult human male stood on an ostrich egg, it actually would not break. Because it has to withstand a male ostrich also laying on it for periods of incubation. In between the female, of course. There's some nice little parenting going on. But friends, we have entered the last area of the reserve today. This is called the Warden's Post. Now the warden likes to raise some Nigerian dwarf goats here because they're going to help mow the lawn as natural grazers. But they also produce a sweet milk that makes for a really good goat cheese. Now some of these goats may look a little small, but I promise they're all fully grown. And to reach behavioral levels of maturity, sometimes you see them doing some funny things, like running, jumping, climbing into the warden's truck apparently, and headbutting. But it is all totally normal. I mean, I headbutt too sometimes. And if you notice that there was a yellow box also in front of that warden's post, well, that looked to me like it was a bee box from the Elephants and the Bees project. So the warden might be making one of those bee fences soon. I won't be able to make the guarantee that we won't see any. But speaking of conservation, I do have one more initiative I'd like to share with you actually as we make our way back to Harambe about the northern white rhinos. So today we saw a black rhino and a crash of southern white rhinos. Now there's only 5 species of rhinos left in the world, and they're all on the endangered species list because they're being poached for the keratin that's in their horns. But we as humans also produce keratin in our fingernails and our hair. So there's actually no scientific reason as to why we're poaching rhinos, which I think makes it a little bit more sad knowing that the northern white rhino is actually functionally extinct. As there's only 2 of them left in the world, and they're both being private reserve that they live on, and a university. And they've actually were able to collect viable northern white rhino sperm and eggs before the last male passed away around 2018. And they're looking into artificial insemination to potentially save the species. I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty cool to me. Now, we have discussed larger scale conservation initiatives today, but even a little goes a long way towards those conservation efforts, and even doing as little as recycling or just using recycled materials is also going to help ensure that habitats and their